What up, what up? Episode 111 of the Too Thick Pod, your home for all things sports, cards, and hopefully a little bit of levity. I am the conductor for today. My name is Jeremy. You can follow me on Instagram at Reckless Cards, and I am joined by none other than the freshest kid from the west side of the state, Manny. How are you, young man?
Good. How are you? And welcome to your hobby release, everyone. We've had a busy weekend, the two of us. Did you want to share something? We can start off sharing what your experience on Obsidian is.
Well, I just want to take a moment and thank everybody who checked out last week's the pod, the initial drop. That was dope. Super positive feedback. Very appreciative of all that. One thing though, I caught a little crap in the DMs was like, how come Manny's in like a legit studio and you just have a damn pop up? And so one thing that we spoke about was being transparent. So when we started this pod, we were approached by corporate America. They gave us 40 G's to start it. We knew right off the lick 20 was going for Manny for a monthly salary, right? Makes sense. But I didn't know my man was going to take the rest of the marketing budget and put in an accent wall, get a 94-inch HD TV, get the logo propped up. So here I am, makeshift in my basement on my own dime, trying to compete with Manny. So that'll explain a little bit of difference here.
Hey, if this isn't a 96, it's probably like just a little over 100. It's no big deal.
Yeah, you wouldn't even get out of bed for anything less than a 96. What am I talking
about? Yeah. We're big time over here.
Yeah, so a little less money for me to do my studio because we decided for the first time in a while to rip some wax. And I, by nature, love ripping wax. If you go back in my tenure in the hobby, which spans many a year, I would never understand somebody who didn't rip wax. I didn't know how you could enjoy the hobby not ripping wax. And over the last, I'd say 18 months, my fiscal brain has taken over and realized like, hey, ripping all that wax isn't really paying the bills. You're not getting those case hits. You're not getting those monsters and the one-off that you maybe get like a 4-figure card. You're already trying to sell it and flip it into something else and buy more wax. So it was just a losing proposition. We've been very fortunate to have a small allocation and we've been breaking on whatnot. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to rip some wax this weekend. I made up my mind. Gung ho. Well, the person that we pick up cards from, his family's sick, so I hope that they're okay. So I went to the card shop and I thought I'd get a box of Obsidian. It has a crazy checklist, has the black color blast, has, RPAs. I know they're not NT true RPAs, but, there's a lot of cool stuff.
Yep.
So 7 cards, $400. So you're a little over like maybe $55, $56 a card, which in itself is a little bit, not a little bit, but a lot more expensive than, a box of Prism. 12 cards, 12 packs, 144. Let's say it's $1,400. That's less than $10 a card. So we took it, we ripped it open, understanding there's some inherent risks. So I want to be clear, not at all bitter. I treated this as if it was like $400. I was going to the strip club, the casino, like that money's gone, right? So anything that you get back is a positive. But man, did we get one of the worst boxes I've ripped in a long time. And I will say this, the thing that bummed me out the most is you're only getting 7 cards, right? It's 1 pack. One of my cards was 400 panini points, which is just a kick in the dick. Like, I don't know what you're supposed to do with that because now I'm going to have to start buying panini points to try to buy, like, I don't know, a Sparkle pack whenever those are released. And God only knows they'll be released, when I'm at work or something like that. So that was kind of my weekend. We got the video up at Reckless Cards, a shameless plug, where you can kind of see the whole thing. But do you rip in a lot of wax, or what are your thoughts about buying wax?
No, I'm not rich like you, so I can't just buy hobby boxes to rip. I just buy singles. You're more of a risk taker than I am too. I play in that game of like a low risk kind of game, and you're the one that does like the big risk, big reward. Sometimes it pays off. You got a Contra, is what you were telling me, and we were talking about those last week. Those all white cards.
Correct.
Who was your Contra card?
I don't know. Some tight end from the Panthers.
Yeah.
Historically, outside of maybe Rob Gronkowski, if you're a tight end, your cards don't do well in our hobby. So I got a NTN triple threads. Of course, it's not game used. It's something they picked up from Dick's or the local sporting goods store. But it's numbered out of 10. But, even just looking at that, that was probably the best card. And that was like, that's what, maybe a 30, 40, $50 card, if that. So we got skunked. But I'm just curious about when you're only getting 7 cards, man, what if this was for a kid? Like my kids don't care about like the numbered stuff. They don't they just want their favorite player. And even if it was 10,000 points or whatever the case may be, for a kid, I think they would be incredibly bummed to just get panini points, because what the hell is that? I went and looked, and the crap you can get with 400 panini points is like, I'd rather get kicked in the shin than take anything off their crappy website.
Yeah. What is the cost of like 400? Like, what can you sell like the points? I've never sold points before.
Between 30 to $50, it looks like.
So you got 30 to 50. So like a no-name auto, right? Is that what you essentially what you get?
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, does it go up like when one of these packs release, these speckle packs? Will that points go up a little bit? I'm curious.
Yeah, maybe. And then I had to be careful too, because I was in a break one time where I hit 900 panini points.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. And when the breaker showed the card off, completely innocent, had no idea. Well, somebody snapped the QR code or grabbed the code real quick in the live stream and claimed the points within like 20 minutes of the break being over. Yeah. So I had to frantically, if you watch the video, you can see I'm like very adamant trying to just cover everything up, because I'm not trying to give up that 30, 40, 50 bucks, whatever the hell it is, because we're trying to eat over here at Recline Manor. You know what I mean?
Yep, for sure. And the reason I'm curious is because I still have redemptions that back in 2020, September 2020, I pulled a Fernando Tatis. It was Donruss, I believe, if I remember correctly. It's like those fire autos. I still haven't got it redeemed yet. I actually tried to redeem it. They haven't heard back from them, and they offered panini points. So I was curious. I'm like, what am I going to get for this Fernando Tatis auto? Because when I submitted it at 2020, it was like around the peak of Tatis, right? So I would have got top dollar. Now I'm waiting, and his market just keeps going down and down and down. Are they going to go off like this current market or back when I actually submitted the card?
Well, I would much rather have the auto of the big name player.
Yeah.
Padres are playing relatively good baseball, and we're gonna get past this like May, June, July-ish slump where things will start to creep back up, and he comes back and is healthy. That might be better than a couple hundred panini points.
Oh, yeah. I might have to argue with him.
I will say this: the only redemption that I've ever gotten from Panini was we had a Kobe auto in, and he passed, RIP. Mm-hmm. And there was the talks about the mosaic packs coming out, and if you had an unfulfilled Kobe redemption, you would get one of the mosaic packs. And so I had somehow, I don't know if it was a blowout forum or just searching online, I had found an email to a direct person because I was getting no updates. There's a portal you can go on. You can type messages. They never type back. And I'm always like friendly and cordial. Well, we got this email, and I reached out and I contacted somebody directly. This was maybe like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. A couple hours later, I got an email saying your package is on the way. Next day, it was delivered to my house.
Oh, wow.
The Kobe redemption pack.
I might need that. I would actually, no, you might see me in National. If you go to National and you see Manny, I might be in front of Panini throwing a fit to get one of those $1,000 boxes because I got to redeem. They haven't redeemed my code yet. So maybe I'll hold off for that.
Yeah, I thought about doing that. And I wonder if there's a play in there. And I would love if somebody wants to do the homework. But if you're willing to either yourself or have like a friend hang out at those lines, you can scoop up redemptions, especially of lesser name players, dirt cheap. And I wonder if there's a play if you could just submit like 50 of them and then, bring that together to pull something big. Like maybe, I don't know if it's one of the white boxes or whatever the redemptions they do in person at the National.
Oh, yeah. And then at National, people they'll get that white box and try to sell it like instantly.
Oh, yeah.
Ever. So there could also be that play where you're just like by the line being like, hey, who'd you get? You want to buy it? You want to sell it?
And so be careful because my dumbass almost bought a one of one, but I didn't realize, and thank God that it didn't work out. I did just enough homework, or I had enough good people in Instagram group to educate me. But there's a difference between a true one of one and then like those white box one of ones.
Yeah,
I'm glad because I almost picked up a card that I had no business taking on.
Yeah, of course. How many one-of-ones do you think like Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow actually has? It's ridiculous. I think Select they might even have like 10 of them alone, different style one-of-ones. But I do want to get back before we go on to the next. I do want to get back to it because it actually meant a lot to me when you broke down the price of Obsidian versus Prism, because you said Prism is like 1,400, but you're getting X amount of cards, which kind of comes down to like $10 a card. And then Obsidian 400, yeah, you're like, oh, that's cheaper, right? It's $55 a card, right? So if you're looking at that aspect, you're getting, and you're like a set builder. I know it's rare to have these set builders. You might want to just buy the singles Obsidian, maybe buy Prism if you really want to rip. I mean, it's like what, 3 times the amount, but you could get what you want out of it.
Yeah, the checklist for Obsidian too is robust. There's so many different parallels. There's a lot of numbered stuff. There's a lot of like patch only or patch plus auto or jersey plus auto. And so like from face value, and if you watch a lot of YouTube breaks, a lot of them look good. A lot of people are getting quarterbacks of different varieties. They're getting some cool autos, getting some good rookies. It only comes with one base card.
Yep.
You know, one base card, 2 parallels, and then on average 2 autos, 2 mems. So it just, it felt like $400. I didn't expect to get anything. It comes with it, but I didn't want to pull a $1,400 box or $1,300, whatever it is, and then be asked out that money, because I know I can take $1,000 in a couple of days and then, most likely turn that into something else or pay for grading fees or pay out of pocket for the inevitable merch drop that's coming from the Too Thick pod that I know, since you spent all the ducats, the kid over here is going to have to bankroll it, but that's okay. It's neither here nor there.
Hey, our kids could eat ramen noodles for a couple of days, right?
No, not mine, dude. Not mine. They're living that spoiled life. They'll have none of that. They'll whip my ass out of the house.
That's funny.
I talked to you this morning, and you were in a rotten mood.
Oh yeah, I was pissed.
You were short. You were snappy, and I was just calling to say, "What up? Happy Sunday. I hope everything's good with you. May God grant you all your dreams and wishes." And you were pissed off, and I for the life of me couldn't figure out why. And then I looked over at the old F1 app and watched the race, and I could understand why. What happened today?
I told you I didn't want to talk about this shit. Ferrari, the team Ferrari, screwing up Charles. Yet again, 3rd straight week. He was pretty much the fastest car, right? And what happened? His engine was his the engine that failed, or the PU?
I think it was hydraulics, actually.
Oh, hydraulics, and then Carlos was the engine.
Yep.
So both the Ferraris did not finish, and then my nemesis Red Bull, they took 1-2, and basically extended their constructive points to like 100 point gap on Ferrari. Charles went down to 3rd in drivers points, and Sergio Perez went to 2nd, I believe. So you have 1-2 Perez and Max Verstappen, which is going to get interesting because Perez believes that he could beat Max, right? And the team seems like they want Max to win it. So it's going to be very interesting down the road if this continues the way it does. I think Perez was 1st, right? And Max did have the pace this race, so they let them go. They didn't want them to battle. It would have been cool to see them actually battling for 2nd, but Perez, being a good teammate, let him through.
Yeah, I'll say this morning was not a very entertaining race. Quite frankly, Lewis Hamilton, battling Pierre Gasly for a while there to overtake him, and I thought it was a little bit of a smart play by Gasly's team to let Lewis pass and make sure they got the points. But other than that, like the little bit of drama, which I don't know how much of it's real, was between Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris, where Lando was like, hey, strategy was good earlier, but now it's at the end of the race. Let me pass Ricciardo. And the team was like, no, hold off. But there was a couple times where it looked like he was going to pass. And I don't know if he was just like a good friendly busting of the balls or just like staying on his ass, like letting you know. But there was big gaps throughout, man. It was like 20 seconds. I think at one point Verstappen had like a 45-second
lead. That's crazy.
Like I think it might have been the biggest spread for victory at that course. So again, just a disappointing performance from Ferrari. I know just a month ago, people were going crazy picking up some high-end Charles Leclerc, and thus far, it's looking like a losing proposition.
Well, the Daniel thing, there's been these topics of him actually leaving or getting kicked out mid-season. So that probably has something to do with it. He's like, I'm going to beat my teammate this race. I'm not coming and I'm not losing to Lando. But also, can we discuss your boy George Russell? Just basically, he's Mr. Consistent, but he's always there just waiting for a do not finish, and then just works his way up to podium or gets lucky, like saying, well, we're going to wait to pit for a yellow flag. And then it ended up happening. That dude is the luckiest guy in the world. He's a great driver, but he's got a lot of luck on his side beginning of this season so far.
I again, I would be lying if I said I understood nuance like that. All I know is he's the only driver to finish top 5 in every single race. You know what I mean? A lot of other drivers have the DNF or they're out of the points. And so even today, I think had Ferrari not shit the bed, he would have been in 5th place. You know what I mean? And it would have been right there. So yeah, I do think that. I think with anything, there's a little bit of luck, right? I mean, with the way last year ended on the final race towards the end of the race, I mean, that was Lewis's race. All it took was a little bit of luck. But I do think Mercedes, it's still so foreign to me that a team that won so many Constructors' Cups in a row, who had the 7-time reigning champion, well, he's not after last year, and like I don't understand what, like, George is kicking his ass.
Yeah, he is.
Like, George is kicking his ass. They're both driving Mercedes, and I just wonder what the hell is going on. And then if somebody knows, like, when can we expect Mercedes to figure out the bouncing and the vibration, and when are they going to have a competitive car? Because I'll tell you one thing that is a little off-putting for F1 is if it's just a Red Bull thing, come towards the end of the season, probably not going to allocate as much time to watching it.
Yep. If
there isn't something to be in tuned about. And I'd like a good competition, but if Ferrari's not going to finish half the time and it's just going to be Max Verstappen, who, on a side note, I have a few Max Verstappen cards, so I'm kind of like, yay, but I don't like Max Verstappen, so it's kind of meh.
Yeah. And then, like, if we want to go to the card side, I looked at card ladder data. Lewis Hamilton stuff actually has went down a little bit, not like a whole bunch, but it is a percentage or so. The last 3 months it's gone down because, I mean, he's getting beat up by George Russell, but this guy's an all-time great, right? Like you just said, he won 7 in a row, and he's tied for the most, I think. So,
yeah, with Michael Schumacher.
Yep. So this is a guy that it's unfortunate that he's coming in second with his teammate, but it's probably a good time to buy him right now. Also, I looked, and Charles, you're saying that his market is actually up, but it might be because of those big sales that you were talking about in a couple of weeks. But if he continues to start getting screwed by his team, his card market's going to go down, and he's actually a really good driver. It's just he's had bad luck. George Russell has been getting good luck. So
how do you so this is what I would love to know. If you're prospecting for a driver, right? Like, I was able through Drive to Survive to recognize, at least in my novice dumbass opinion, mind you, I don't know anything about this sport, that while George Russell was facing all that adversity with Williams, just the way he conducted himself, there was something about it where I got a sense that, like, okay, this guy has it. And then you do a little bit of research and you see his pedigree and who's instructing him. I would wonder, would you take any of these other lesser drivers and put them in? Like, let's say if you were to take a Lando Norris and put him in a Ferrari car that's running, or a Red Bull, is he as good of a driver or not? Or is it truly just the car? And at that point, like, I'm still trying to digest that through my head, which kind of probably makes the sport still fun and interesting, because I'm trying to make sense of, like, who's truly good and who's not, because Nicholas Latifi never finished races, and all I hear is he's the butt of every joke in any F1 group chat I'm in. So I'm like, well, then how does this guy have a job? Like, clearly he has to have shown something to be one of the 20 drivers in Formula One.
Yeah, and Lando, I believe like what you're saying. I believe like it's probably like 80% the car that you're in. I mean, and probably 20% because these guys are like milliseconds off from each other with reaction time. They're all like about the same. But the thing that kind of brings them to first place rather than 20th is the actual car. Um, so like Red Bull, you see Sergio Perez, how bad he was with who was he before Red Bull? Red Bull. He was with Lance Stroll. I forgot what he was, but he was with Lance Stroll. And he wasn't even getting close to the top three. He put him in a Red Bull. This guy's competing already. So I think it has something that you kind of have to prospect, like see in the future, like who do you think say Ferrari's getting rid of Carlos Sainz, who do you think that they're going to bring into that seat, and that person's market's going to go up. If you think Lando is going to take over, then that would be a good type of buy, but it's all assumption with F1. You can make
if let me stop you. So you're saying like if they brought in another driver to be number 2 to Charles Leclerc?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're coming in, you know that you're number 2, and are you investing in cards of a guy who is going to have to concede position, or his job is there to ensure that Charles wins? Like
Yeah.
that's another way of looking at it. Like that's something that I would look at it.
True, but you were saying George Russell came in as the number 2, and look what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I'm just asking the question.
yeah. No.
You're out here telling people how to lose their money. I'm just
you're definitely going to lose money if you listen to me. But like Mick Schumacher and Haas, he came up as a Ferrari driver. So when you're looking at these players or these drivers, you could see who they were in P2. This guy was a Ferrari driver. You had Max Verstappen was a Red Bull driver. Because you take a little bit, that gives a little bit of a like estimated like guess, a better guess that you could kind of decide that they're looking. I mean, George Russell, I think, was a Mercedes driver at one point before he went to Williams, and that's why they looked at him. So it's kind of that, but you got a prospect in like P2, which I'm not great at yet. We're both kind of the new to the Formula One market. We'll get better as the season goes on and we learn a little bit more, but that's kind of my take on it.
I do know they told Mick Schumacher he's not allowed to get any more damn accidents because they can't afford to fix the cars anymore, which was like wild.
Did you see, speaking of fixing the car, did you see the duct tape on the wing?
Yep.
For Alpha. It was Yuki's car. He was driving off. He's like, what is this? And they're like, don't worry about it. You can't use any more DRS.
Yeah, just tell them, hey, kid, they use duct tape in America. You'll be all right. You'll be fine.
That's just showing that duct tape's the best universal thing to fix things. So if my wife tries to yell at me, I'm going to be like, let me show you something.
Yep. So early morning that followed a late night. UFC 275 last night. An incredible card with good action from top to bottom. What's your analysis? Any initial thoughts of the action that you saw last night while you were at the sportsbook casino, sipping Chrissy and putting kids through college, if you know what I mean?
Drinking tequila sunrise or all my fruity drinks, getting made fun of by the bartender. This was like one of my favorite cards in a while. The main event, like Yuri versus Glover, was an amazing fight. Could be the fight of the year. I think I just became a Yuri fan, by the way. He fights like a drunken monkey, his stance. I don't know if you've seen it, but he's just like swerving like he's drunk, and then all of a sudden just throws a random punch or a kick. He jump kicks and then punches at the same time. And I looked at my wife, I said, you know, if I got into a fight, I'd probably look like this, but not be great. I'll just look like I'm jumping and kicking at someone.
Yeah, shout out to Jackie Chan for doing Legend of the Drunken Master. Like I love Jackie Chan as a kid. And that was a great movie. And for that martial art or kung fu or whatever the hell it is to be effective, you have to be like slightly inebriated. So they stopped teaching it as folklore goes, because if you drink too much, then you develop alcoholism, and then you're not a good husband, father, wife, sister, whatever the case may be. So he's got cool hair and he's funky, which makes it a very entertaining style. Like the average person will stop and take a look at it to be like, what the hell is this?
Yep. But you got to give props to Glover. This dude is getting, I mean, he's 42 years old and was kind of dominating at one point. He was winning until he got submission.
Dude, he was 30 seconds away from winning the fight. He was 30 seconds away from winning the fight.
The best part is they're after every round, they just have they're all cut up. They all have gouges and they're just smiling at each other, hugging each other like they're loving life.
Well, they knew at that moment, they know they're getting a little fight of the night bonus. Yeah. And you know, because like when you're at that high level of an athlete, you know what you've been through. And I'm sure walking in any fight, most fighters feel like they could run through a brick wall. And when you meet somebody who's your equal or actually applying pressure back to you like that, you have I'm sure an immediate appreciation and respect because you know they too have traveled a path that very few will know. So that was chaos, man. They were fucking slapping the shit out of each other, knocking each other down, and then Glover got choked out, correct?
Yep. Glover got choked out. And then the other main event, the other championship bout was Shevchenko. I can't pronounce it. Shevchenko versus Santos. And there's been a lot of like argument. Like Santos could have won that fight. They were booing and cheering Santos when she left. They're going to have a rematch, how close that match was. She took her down like 5 or 6 times and was dominating her. But the thing is when she did take her down, it looked like Shevchenko wasn't like in a hurry, or she seemed calmed and was actually beating her as she was down on the bottom and got out of everything. It kind of was scary at that point. But those 2 fights were pretty good. The one thing I hate, I don't know if you do, but they open palm in the ear. Just imagine getting open palmed in the ear. I've seen that quite a few times yesterday.
You're taught, like if you're ever in a bear hug, like somebody's bear hugging you, which I've never actually seen somebody use as like a real life fight. But then again, I'm not like in those areas where people are street fighting. But I was always taught like you do the double open hand, like, boxing of the ears. Yeah,
because it messes with their like equilibrium.
Equilibrium. There you go, kid. You got it.
Got it out there, yeah.
Equilibrium. Oh man, that's multiple syllables for Manny here on a Sunday.
You get a clap for that one.
There you go. Yeah, no, Shevchenko is one of the best women's fighters of all time. Mm-hmm. I believe Santos though did leave with a broken bone in her eye, a broken orbital bone. Yep. And so like MMA scoring's a little goofy because obviously they don't announce what's going on. And one judge could, really be keen on wrestling. So if you're controlling your opponent, even if you just get a takedown and lay on top of them, they might value that. Whereas sometimes a fighter will get taken down, but they're actually doing damage from the bottom. So it's always interesting. And it's always fair, like, to watch a fight without the commentary on, because it's really easy, especially if you don't really know the sport, to be influenced by, I know Joe Rogan wasn't there last night. So whoever was doing commentary, Daniel Cormier or whomever. But yeah, it was exciting. And then my girl, Zhang Weili,
the flying or the back,
retired JJ.
Yeah, that was an insane, like out of nowhere, she just back fist out of hell and just knocked her cold.
And she's gonna get. I think she's gonna get a title fight. And the UFC had been pushing her for a while because she's a badass fighter. She is legit one of the biggest prospects ever to come out of China. And obviously UFC being the business they are, they would love to capture the Chinese market specifically. Yep. And they had paired her up twice with Thug Rose. She lost twice to Thug Rose. So she wasn't going to get a third match anytime soon. So when Thug lost, that opens up the door now for her to get the title shot. And I will say, full disclosure, when like Panini was doing all those digital UFC cards, I bought like one of those $75 packs just for the hell of it. Yep. And I didn't get anything good, except I did get a Wang, a serial number 001.
All that.
I was like, I want her to be champion. I want China to go crazy, and I want to flip it to them for many and many, many a dollar, my friend.
I was just about to ask that if we bring it back to the card market from this card. Yuri's probably too late to buy. People are probably on him, but like you're saying, that Yang would probably be the buy, right?
Yeah, potentially. I know like Kazamat stuff has run like absolute crazy, so I wouldn't be buying him.
Yep.
right now. I'm always looking, the cool thing is finding, especially in the heavyweights. This is something I used to do at the sports book all the time. Anytime that there's a mixed martial arts event, like I'm keenly aware that there's Bellator and there's
Yep.
other fighting organizations out there. But anytime you get the 265ers, it doesn't matter if a guy's a minus 800 favorite. When you're
Yeah.
throwing hands like that, a small bet can pay off big time. And so I remember many years ago when there was a fighter by the name of Junior Dos Santos,
Oh yeah.
who was a huge, huge underdog to Fabricio Verdum. Verdum was coming off of like his triangle choke of Fedor Emelianenko, ending his undefeated streak. He was the next great thing, and then Junior just knocked him silly. And I hope that I got the timeline right.
Yeah.
I didn't. I'm sure somebody's gonna absolutely flame me, but
Sound
Junior was a huge favorite and ultimately knocked out Fabricio. And I remember I had like just a small 10, 20, 30, $40, and it paid nicely. So if you're looking at cards, I sometimes like to look at like prospects, people are unheard of, and you just have to be willing to hold a little bit.
Yep.
Somebody like a Sugar Sean O'Malley, people are already run up on him. I'm personally looking for somebody who's charismatic, who's got an entertaining fight style.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily have to be a champion because you've got like the Diaz brothers, you've got people like that who they're entertaining and they're pretty good at what they do. They don't have to be the greatest, but they're primetime TV, they're must see TV.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I might look at some Santos cards, how she performed. She's going to be back at a title fight,
Sure.
so that might be a kind of a potential play too. I mean, I'm not big on UFC cards, so there might be a card guy that's going to come out and be like, "You guys are idiots."
Sure.
But I mean, we're novices on UFC. You seem like you know more about UFC than I do, but
Mixed martial arts, sir. UFC is just an organization.
okay, mixed martial arts. Sorry about that, but it just seems like it got me. Yesterday's card got me to become a fan, so I might be watching a little bit more and getting into it.
Yeah, maybe we can do live fight nights or something like that because I do like having the fights on. The thing for MMA cards, the only thing that sucks for me is, and that's probably why I've gravitated towards soccer more, or even baseball or basketball. There's more activity. Some of these fighters are only fighting once or twice a year, and it's like you get the card, and then you're just like,
yeah, exactly.
or, hey, this guy hasn't fought in 18 months. This guy hasn't fought in whatever. Like Nate Diaz, when's he going to fight again? You know what I mean? And it's like, it's just, that's a deterrent for me when it comes to cards because I like to be active. I like to do stuff with them.
Yeah. And speaking of soccer, I want to give a shout out to Courtney. She's been like helping us with like our socials, and she had you do a TikTok, and I think you might have went viral with your TikTok. So I do want to give a shout out to Mama Reckless.
There you go. Yeah. So if you check out our TikTok at Too Thick Pod, I was in Dresden and I'll give like a brief synopsis. I was in Dresden for work, and one of the kids was like, "Hey, do you want to go to a soccer game tonight?" And I was like, "Oh, cool. What's the club?" And they're like, "The Dresden Dynamo." And he was giving me the backstory about how they used to be a Division I club. They have a huge following. He said they were like the second best fan base in all of Germany behind Bayern Munich. And so as we were driving around Germany, he was showing me all the graffiti that was for Dresden.
Yep.
I was like, okay, cool. So I'm not thinking anything of it. He said second division. All I could think of in my mind was like, we're going to a minor league game. I'm going to like a Rockford Ice Hogs game. Like there's going to be like scattered fans in attendance and like cheap beer. Dude, we got there, and now mind you, the people over there don't have guns like in America. There was security like lined up everywhere. We were drinking glass bottles of beer. Like think of like pint or maybe a little bit bigger than a pint. So there's glass everywhere. You get in the stadium, 32,000 people. It holds like 32 and some change, but let's just say it's a little over 32. And we get in there and people are smoking in the stands. They're drinking. They're cursing at the opposing fans. So the opposing fans are going nuts. And I'm like, I sit down and I'll try to share the video, but like you can hear the guy, Andres, who I was with in German go, "This is so fucking unbelievable." And like, and so they're going back and forth. Well, Dresden's on the east side of Germany. So I guess what this club did, their thing to get under their skin was to call them Nazis because they're on the eastern side of Germany. So they're like saying like, you're still backwards, you're still racist, all this stuff. So we just be standing there and there's like a, fuck you, like, and like, in German, and it was wild. So they start lighting off fireworks. Well, security goes storming up. And if you see the video, they're in the corner. They leave one section here, empty on purpose, and then just lined up with security all the way down. And the point of that, I guess, was to make sure nobody gets hurt and to keep some separation between the home fans and the visiting fans. Security goes up, and you're thinking, I've never been somewhere where like security doesn't just like maul people and kick their ass. These people fought off security. And I couldn't believe, like, I was legitimately getting a little like unnerved. Like, hey man, what the hell's going on? This is just a soccer game. I'm just a dumbass American. I don't care what the hell happens.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to enjoy my drink, and like I'm coughing because I'm like, I don't smoke, but there's just cigarette smoke everywhere around me.
Yep.
And the guy was with me. He's like, no, they do that on purpose. They lock them in there until after the match. So people are peeing on the walls, going to the bathroom, throwing things. And it was absolute chaos, dude. And this was a game that meant nothing. It wasn't like, hey, if we win this, we get to stay in Division 2, or if we win this, we're going up to Division 1. There was no relegation on the line. And the game resulted in like a 0-0 draw. But it was wild. I remember nothing of the soccer match. I remember everything of the experience with the fans.
That's crazy because like Europeans are so like passionate about their teams. My dream, like you're gonna laugh at this, but I always wanted to be. You ever see like in like England, like they have like these little alleys, and it's a video of like everyone just throwing chairs, and it's like supporters fighting each other.
Yeah.
I was like, that would actually be kind of. I'm an idiot. That'd be kind of fun to do at least once in your life. Just feel like you're in like war with your team.
Are you truly enjoying a sporting match if you're not fearing for your life at the same time?
Exactly. And I mean, speaking of that, like it seems like it's kind of coming to America, but not really. Like I saw a video of Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Rangers at the end of the game. This guy, they're in New York. He's wearing a Tampa Bay Lightning. All of a sudden got cold cocked. You got to keep your head on a swivel nowadays. I don't even know. I don't feel safe, I guess. Do you, like, say you're a Bears fan? Your rival, would you say your biggest rival is the Packers?
Packers, yeah.
Would you go to the Packers to Lambeau Field with your jersey?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know, like, because I'm a Red Sox fan, Yankees. I'm scared to go to New York to the Yankees game.
We went to Courtney got us, I'm a Northwestern fan for football. You know, that was the closest thing to Chicago.
Yep.
And he got us tickets, me and one of my project managers, to go to a game in Lansing. And it was in the Northwestern, fan supporter section. So parking there is atrocious too, by the way. So like you had to park far away. And then I think we took an Uber. By the time we got there, the kid who is responsible for managing millions of dollars of projects couldn't manage to bring the fucking tickets with them. So I was like, whatever. Hey man, I need 2 tickets for the supporters section.
Yep.
I'm decked out in black and purple, right? I'm here to watch a crappy football game because Northwestern's not going to light up the board. It's going to be like, it was kind of rainy and hazy, but humid. Like it's going to be like a grimy game, and maybe Northwestern wins 13-10 or something.
Yep.
Well, I get in there and I realize I'm one section over from Northwestern, and I am surrounded by what I can only assume are 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23-year-old Michigan State fans who clearly have been drinking since like maybe 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And in the United States, that's probably been the one time where I felt like a smidge uneasy. And it was more so like, I'm a grown man. I don't have to whip the shit out of all these kids. It's going to be like not a good look for me. But I also am not going to sit here and let, this kid over here say something or this kid say something. Like, I'll let some stuff pass. I'm slick with it, but
yeah,
I got a big mouth, and I know at some point I'm gonna have like 42 frat boys trying to kick my teeth through the back of my head. So,
in hindsight,
it might have been one time where I felt like so I didn't fear for my life. I feared that I would say something dumb where there would be an immediate action, and the reaction would be me getting my head kicked in.
Yeah, in hindsight, it was probably me behind you yelling at you.
No. Because what they were saying was like witty and funny.
Oh yeah, that's true. Then that's not me. I'm usually.
Yeah, no, but I've seen like America, Mexico for World Cup qualifiers. What I don't do for like sporting events, I don't associate or condone people acting like assholes. Yeah. Like there's like good banter, there's fun stuff where you can tell it's like, hey, we're supporting our team. We're not being derogatory. We're not talking about people's wives, kids, mothers, girlfriends. I will tell you one of the greatest experiences of my life is we used to have season tickets for the Chicago Fire, and we were watching, and I don't remember the guy's name, but like somebody said something about his girlfriend. He apparently had like this just glorious like female of a girlfriend, and like everybody knew about it. Maybe she was a supermodel. And somebody was like giving him shit, like, you're in the MLS, you suck. She's gonna go and like, bang somebody in the Premier League. And this guy like essentially scored on a corner kick,
Yep.
turned around, pointed, and did like a bow. And now like that was like the most ultimate flex because he clearly heard the shit talking.
Yeah.
And then he just like totally punked him like that. Like, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of like crazy and don't care what they say type fans, Boston Celtics and Golden State. Hey, that's in the showbiz of saying like, what do they call it? Bringing it into a new conversation. God, I can't even think right now. Yeah, segue. There you go. That's
there
the word.
Go. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. I'm learning. Segue. Look at that professional segue. I didn't even know what it meant. But let's talk finals a little bit.
Yeah, so it went from not being a good series to, all right, here we go. It's essentially a 3-game series. Golden State's got home court advantage. Yep. And I saw something, and I would encourage anybody that's listening to go look it down. If you were to take all the stats and combine them, it's legitimately like everything's super tight. They're within a few points, a few free throws, a few made shots, missed shots. Like, it's a pretty even series for a series, quite frankly, that none of the games have been that close in the final couple minutes.
Mm-hmm. We said it was boring the first couple games, but it's actually been entertaining the last couple games. The thing with Draymond and the fans, it's funny. Klay Thompson and the fans. I just been interested in that. You had people, for example, Dave Portnoy, the founder of Barstool, had Draymond's a jerk face, and he's sitting right by the bench, giving it to Draymond when he comes to the bench after his 2 fouls. It's been a great series. It just seems like the thing that bugs me is these fans are the ones that we and you are kind of soccer fans, right? We like soccer. They complain about flopping when you're talking about soccer. NBA is turning into a big flop fest. I don't know. Steph Curry, every time he shoots a 3, he gets nudged a little bit. He's falling on the ground, complaining to the refs. Marcus Smart is pretty bad about flopping. It's kind of been like, I get it in soccer because it's kind of like an art form in soccer. They consider it like an art form, but it's coming to basketball as well. And these NBA refs don't know how to handle it, I feel like.
Yeah, they're in a bad spot. They're damned if they do, damned if they don't. You know what I mean? And it reminds me, like, back in the day, like Reggie Miller for the Pacers was like, he was like the lethal 3-point guy, but he was always taught to kick his legs. I don't know if he was taught, but he did. He would kick his legs out. So he would initiate contact. And I don't know how many times that guy got a 4-point play or got to go shoot 3 from the charity stripe as a result of him kicking his legs out.
Yeah, it's insane what they do now. I mean, the pump fake and then they throw their body and shoot. I know that they try to stop that a little bit, but they still do it.
It fucking straight up destroyed James Harden's season, though, when they stopped calling some of those fouls. My man couldn't get to the line, and it just destroyed the way he played basketball.
Exactly. He didn't know what he was doing. I mean, he created it, and then now he has to learn how to do something else. It's kind of bad.
So 3 games left. I know you took Golden State in 6. Are you sticking to that?
Oh, yeah. I think they're coming back to Golden State. I think Golden State's only lost 1 time at home this playoff series, and it's against Boston. So
I just think that's a crazy place to play. I would, that's one spot on my bucket list I'd like to do is like in the next year, I'd like to go see a game there, like a meaningful game, because that atmosphere seems absolutely nuts. And I think a lot of the stuff that's being brought up in the media is just like, there's not a whole hell of a lot to talk about. So they got to manufacture something. Yeah. Because I promise you, if you're trying to win a ball game, you're not worried about Draymond's dumbass antics. If anything, you're trying to throw a little gas on the fire and see if he can maybe do something to harm himself or the team.
Yeah, like ESPN and all them, they are kind of pushing like, Draymond, let's push it. But because, I mean, like you said before in the last episode, the games are so freaking long. Like one's played on Sunday, the next is on a Thursday. It's just, it makes me uninterested. When you have other sports like baseball going on, you have Nations League, you have F1. I'm just in tune with that kind of stuff. So UFC.
I agree. Like, the game will be tomorrow night at 9:00. I wish it started a little bit earlier. I wish there was a Sunday night game. That would be a perfect way to cap off the weekend and to sit and watch the game.
Yeah.
Like, I hope they do something about it. I get it. They wanna build up the buzz about it. It just doesn't make for a very, very fun experience.
No, I agree. I do want to let's talk about this. I want to get into this.
Okay.
And if you're not watching on YouTube, it's Basketball Card Fanatic. Jeremy and I love this magazine. Um,
Yep.
and we're kind of like deciding let's kind of read through them and kind of pick a topic to talk about. And maybe if you're interested, you could get it. Jeremy has like a surprise at the end. But I do want to talk because it's kind of related to the news that we have in the hobby, and that's those Magna cards, those super short print cards that no one really knows the print run. Well, there's a article about backing into print runs, and you can never get the actual number, but there's like a calculation that they go through on this book, kind of to determine how many cards were produced. And it's a good read. And the reason I brought it up is, Jeremy, do you want to go ahead and explain what you were going to do with this?
Yeah. So what we're gonna do is based on we'll give it, let's say, 1 week after we drop this episode. If somebody wants to leave a comment, whatever comment tickles our fancy, whether it's informative, whether it's educational, whether it's comedic, we'll send you a free magazine. So I've got a couple of subscriptions. It's a great magazine. It's quite frankly the only hobby literature that I read. I don't read Beckett anymore, so I would be lying if I said if I know whether or not they're still making content or if it's good.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know a lot of the contributors in this are hobby famous people or people that you would recognize if you scrolled through Instagram.
Yep.
And it's all about basketball cards. So as you can see by the magazine, it's a good look, man. I would encourage anybody to check it out.
Yeah, it goes through some of the auction sales. Like I said, if you are not on Instagram, that's kind of the content creators they pick from is Instagram. It's actually a nice read. It gets you off of like reading, like, because this is more positive, right?
Yeah.
You don't read all the negative in the hobby. Negative in the hobby. Did you see Whatnot?
Yeah, and before we move on, I just want to give a shout out to the Real 27 guy.
Yes.
Adam, incredible collection. He's got the basketball card podcast, which he doesn't drop. He just kind of drops whenever. But maybe a couple years when I like really gravitated towards like the education, understanding how people who are, let's say, higher in the hierarchy of the hobby than me, how they operated.
Mm-hmm.
I found his podcast to be truly incredible. He put me on to PWCC. He put me on to vaulting. He put me on to consignment. And so he's just a lifelong basketball guy. And I will say this, I don't want to ruin his thing, but he left his day job and he's full-time in the hobby working for PWCC. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, great magazine. So on to the negative stuff, which we're not going to key in on the negative, but I got to tell you what happened with the negative so I could just provide some perspective and a little firsthand experience. I had saw this on Twitter before Card Porn posted it.
Mm-hmm.
Card Porn shared it. I think it was a breaker by the name of Treasure Breakers with a Z, of course, because you got to have the Z, you know what I mean, for all the kids. But he was breaking on Whatnot, and I think he was doing a Prism box and an Obsidian first off the line or something like that. So it sounded like $2-3 grand worth of boxes that he was breaking. Got to the last team and the last random spot went for like $30.
Yep.
And he became completely unglued, started cursing, started dropping F-bombs. Not the F-U-C-K bomb, but the other bombs, and started lashing out at the people that were participating in the chat. And what had happened is, I guess he allegedly started each auction at $1. Well, the high teams on a random team went right away. So there was no incentive for the last few auctions to go for big numbers because it sounds like the Patriots were gone, the Bears were gone, the Niners were gone. And I say all that like, one, there is no place for that in anywhere in the world, let alone a hobby where people are going to spend their hard-earned dollars and have some fun. But number two, like, just as fair warning for people who aspire and think that getting onto Whatnot means you just print money. That is not the case.
Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely not the case. You need to be willing to build and grow your own audience. You need to be willing to provide something that's unique, that'll stand out from everywhere else. And if you're looking to do basketball and football, word to the wise is there are hundreds, if not thousands of people on Whatnot breaking that product. And so therefore it's saturated and it's not just as easily as the guys you see that get $800 a repack.
Yep.
I'm telling you, we found our niche was providing value, providing a little bit of entertainment, and then we found we did better with the alternative sports. Soccer, we're starting to do pretty good. Baseball, we do okay, and by okay I mean like break even, maybe lose a couple bucks.
Yeah.
And so I just want people to know, if like your end game is like you think you just get on Whatnot and you start printing money, that is not the case. They're taking 10% of your money plus a little bit. You don't get paid until your cards get delivered.
Yep.
And you have to be willing to try some different things. Otherwise, you're just going to blend in with the crowd.
Yep.
Everybody's going to go. If me and Courtney jump on right now and Card Collector 2's on, it doesn't matter if we've got better cards or we're $10 cheaper a spot. He's got the audience. People are going to gravitate towards his feed. And there's a lot of people on Whatnot that are breaking. Yeah, there's some channels that go 24 hours a day.
Yeah. Yeah. There's backyard breaks. They're always on. But like you were saying, what kind of got me was with that situation is how you're saying it. He was doing it like the card, you flipped, like pick the card and it told you the team, which already we kind of in the past debunked that people can mark cards and kind of rig that type of system. So I didn't like that at first. And if you're going to do it that way, it is a risk because like you said, the top teams could come out quickly. But I think what most people kind of hope when they're doing it that way is the top teams don't come out and they get more money than what they actually are because people are going to try to bid. The odds are better to get the Patriots. Let me bid X amount of money. But he was gambling from the start. I looked at his account. He had his live. He had like 30 people on his account or on his live. So it's already, that's a massive gamble right here. Because when you go into like Card Collector or Sasha or any of these guys, they have plus 100 people in their lives. So it's kind of you're kind of mitigating the risk. This guy had 30. He did the card thing that people are kind of like have a bad taste in their mouth already. And so he's already gambling at that point. And what he really wanted was all the teams to get picked first, the bad teams, so he could make more money down at the end.
Yeah, and just because there's 30, that doesn't mean that's 30 people that are spending their hard-earned dollar with you. There's people that go from chat to chat to chat. There's moderators who are just kind of seeing what's going on. There is people who work for different companies going through identifying what is this breaker doing that's good, what's bad, how can we pull from that? So just because we operate that like maybe 10 to 20% are going to spend some dollars, but if you only have 30 people and you're trying to get 50 to 70 to $80 a team, like that's not happening.
Yeah.
And so it was just, and I'm all but sure that let's say he did 5X on his money. Let's say he was into those boxes for $2,000 and he made 10,000.
Yep.
You think he's given any of that money back?
Nope.
So there's got to be some reciprocity, or otherwise, what are you complaining about?
Exactly.
It's okay for you to take advantage of, but what are you doing when somebody doesn't get the Mac Jones? Or what are you doing? It was off-putting, man. Just do right by people. Guess what? If you take care of people, that first off, okay, now I'm going on a tangent. You're not going to fucking retire off the one break.
Exactly.
You're not going to retire. That's it. And I understand that people want to recoup that, but these are the rules to the game. Don't fucking play if you can't handle it. We've gotten our asses handed to us on numerous breaks where it's just like, right away, like, this ain't it. We took a chance. Oh, well, let's make fun of it. And hey, guys, congratulations. I hope you enjoy like the deal that you're getting. And guess what? When you do right by that, word travels. All of a sudden, people are like, you know what? I'm going to check you out next time. Or, hey, I see it's slow in here tonight. I wasn't planning on breaking, but I'm going to buy in because I know you did right by me before. Exactly.
And I think that's what got me on your Whatnot before the podcast. You are the opposite spectrum too. So you're like, if you don't make your money, you're like, you guys are happy, go lucky doing jokes. But if say someone buys a spot for way more, you give him free slabs all the time. And that's kind of the aspect. He's not going to give free. put money how he acted. If he did make that 10,000, whatever, blah, blah, 5X, he's not giving any free spots or free slabs. But just be nice. I mean, the hobbies right now is down. So people want to, you see the true colors of people in the hobby. So it actually is a good thing because now I can make my circle a little tighter on who I want to talk to and everything because it's happened. People are starting to scam a little bit more. Just be more careful. They're starting to speak their true feelings. Whatnot's going. The thing with Whatnot is it seems like it's oversaturated right now unless you're like a big breaker. So I don't know if you're smart about it, why break that type of box or why start at $1? You could start at whatever. You could do the teams as they go, kind of like what you guys do. So it kind of made me mad because it's a bad taste in your mouth. And then how they made it public, it makes me kind of irritated with that whole situation. They could have done it a lot better. But here we are.
There's nothing wrong with being creative too and providing some value. All it did is like the first time we did just a traditional break, we're like, okay, that was cool. But if we're going to stand out, we have to understand, first off, we're not breaking NT. We're not Ken Golden and Drake aren't jumping into our break to buy Flawless. So what can we do different? And we're like, well, what if we just gave away free cards with this? And like, let's just go real grassroots and organic and just truly build our own audience where people start bringing friends of a friend, and not to make it about me, but because there's a lot of awesome breakers who do cool shit where you're incentivized for the most money you spend, or you're getting in free stuff, or whatever the case may be. But a good, healthy competition doing right by people results in a better experience for the user. And guess who's spending the money? Us, the user.
Yep, exactly. So,
bam.
But off that topic, before we go, we have that question of the day. And the question today is the most overrated player of all time. And Jeremy, do you have anybody in mind?
Yeah, well, I've got a lot. So I'm gonna take it different right here. And the 3-1-2 Chicago might take my card. So I'm not gonna go player, I'm gonna go team. And I'm gonna go the mid-'80s Chicago Bears. Because my entire life have heard about how damn awesome they were, this and that, and greatest defense, and maybe they did. Look, but you won one damn Super Bowl. That is it. And that was 30 some odd years ago. One Super Bowl. That's like the what was it, like the 90s Braves when they won all those divisions? Well, how many World Series did you win? You had to win the damn championship. If you didn't win the damn championship, then what the hell's the point? Like nobody's like, hey, here's this awesome team. They were number 3 all the time. Nah, that doesn't get it done. So there's plenty of players, but the 85 Bears, and it's not them. It's more so like the supporters. You know what I mean? Like it's not always like Gary Vee that like irks me. Yeah. It's like the mindless people that follow him and then just like regurgitate certain shit he says without context.
Yep.
Only those people. So if you're getting mad, you're one of those people. I'm not mad. I'm not hating on Gary or any of that shit. But yeah, so the mid-'80s Bears, who I was told my entire life was the greatest football team ever, yada, yada, yada. They only won one Super Bowl. So they're, in my world, one of the most overrated players or teams.
That's crazy to think about because you're you're from Chicago. You're gonna get a lot of hate when you go back.
Bears.
Yeah, Bears. You're gonna get a lot of hate. Yeah. And you're a Bears fan. Mine is my rival team.
And what's wrong with that? I'm a Bears fan. I want them to be better. I demand excellence. What's wrong with that? These motherfuckers have taken my Sundays, winter, fall, and very rarely into January. They have, do you know how many damn Sundays they've ruined?
Yeah.
Let me do some quick math. Let's go 16 games, blah, 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 blah. 16 games times 30. 576 Sundays, man. Right? Right?
Yeah. I just know on Sundays when they lose, I'm not texting you because I don't want to get pre-baited by you.
No, dude, I'm saying I've flown all over God's green earth to watch them play. I've gone to games. I've bought merchandise. I have the worst of staying up on Sunday nights when I was working in the field.
Yeah.
When I was a little more blue collar where I had to be up at 2:30 in the morning, staying up to watch a game for them to get the shit kicked out of them like midway through the second quarter. And I can't even go to bed because I have deluded myself into being a quote unquote diehard Bears fan, so I stay up and I'm just miserable because they scored another touchdown. They turned the ball over again. 56-10, the Bears lost.
You don't have Matt Nagy, so it's all good. This year is your year.
the fucking who hits 2 crossbars on a kick, man? Who hits two uprights? Excuse me. What the hell? What the hell, man?
See, I want to tell you the Cowboys because that's mine, and we're always saying that we're going to win the Super Bowl. We're probably the worst fans ever. I don't say that. I'm realist. We suck. We're going to suck this year. Eagles are probably going to win the division. I'm here to say that. But my most overrated player, I'm going to get a lot of hate because there's a lot of bandwagon fans out there of him, is Derek Jeter. And the reason why I say Derek Jeter is because the defense metrics has him rated the worst defender or shortstop of all time. He's won a couple Golden Gloves where he was the worst, second to worst.
Gold Glove, my friend.
Or Gold Glove.
Yeah. I'm hiring boxers.
Yeah. Gold Glove, second worst Gold Glove per that defense efficiency. He's just the golden boy of the Yankees. He came in. He's never been the best player on his team. A-Rod was a better shortstop than him, but because he's Derek Jeter, he moved him to third. They made A-Rod the villain where Derek Jeter wasn't. I don't know. I hate Derek Jeter with the passion, and there's going to be a lot of New York fans that are going to hate me for it. But I think he's the most overrated player. He's made like 5 big plays in his lifetime, and people go back to those 5 big plays. But he's made like his second half of the season, he was put on the All-Star team because he's Derek Jeter, not because he was good. He was like one of the worst shortstops in 2010, 2011, and he was a starter. I don't know. He's a good guy, not a great defensive player, baseball player like they put him out to be.
So I want nothing more in my lifetime to be invited over to Derek Jeter's condo for a lovely evening with the man so I can get a gift basket on my way out in the morning.
Yeah.
So I definitely can't hate on him when it comes to that because I heard he hooks people up.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when UZR, I believe is what it is. It was like a sabermetrics talking about like actual defensive ability.
Yeah.
And when I was like learning about this back in the day, I come to learn that like he was not actually a very good defender. Like he made the routine play, but like his range wasn't nearly as good as a lot of other shortstops.
Nope.
And because he was who he was, you always saw like him diving into the stands, bloody faced, or that one off his back foot throw to first. But I remember trying to talk to people who like this is before sabermetrics ever like anybody was talking about it, and people just being like, "No, that's Derek Jeter." I'm like, well, like, can you actually point to why he's good? And they're like, no, it's Derek Jeter.
He's the captain. He's the captain. But he didn't have to dive in the stands once. Watch the revisit the video. He, like you said, no range, so he had to do that. Most of his plays is because he doesn't have range, so he has to make them look difficult. That jump throw is kind of basic in today's baseball game. Like, it bugs me. He got I could go on a rant.
Well, we just lost half of New York and all of Chicago in one episode.
Yep, the 2 big markets. So, all right, let's go Lakers.
Let's go Houston and LA, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not following us, do so already. We're on all the YouTubes, the Spotifys, the Apple Podcasts, all of them. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Leave a comment. Whoever leaves a comment that tickles our fancy the most on YouTube, we're going to give away a brand new sealed episode of Basketball Card Fanatic Magazine. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's
sealed like BBC.
What's that?
Is it sealed like baseball? G.I. Joe type.
Did you say BBC though? Man, you're gonna regret that one.
Yep.
We're gonna regret that one. We're gonna get the marketing team on that. Right. Appreciate everybody. Check this out. We will see you again Wednesday night, right?
Yep. See you Wednesday.